Yo, what up, SHANI Culture here. Y'all know what it is. This is Culture, SHANI Culture. Now listen, just to be clear. Y'all see that? We build the block. You see this? Crew count. We out here in Brownsville trying to make sure we can talk to some of the candidates. We just want to know if they can relate to the community, right? They want our votes. They want to try to see if they can be a part of the community. They want to try to assimilate with us, you know. But then sometimes they get into office and we never see them again. Some of the promises that they've given us, we've never seen them accomplished. So we're going to put them in a hot seat. We're going to talk to them and we're going to see if they truly know the people that they want the votes from.
I know what your work is with the Bronx, but as far as Brooklyn and everything that's going on in Brownsville, where you at right now, in what ways could you help funnel what you was doing up there to get that work to be down here?
Most of you met me or found out about me when I ran for president on an anti-poverty platform, which was not mine. It was Dr. King.
Okay.
1967, in his book Cancer Community, he said we should have a guaranteed minimum income for all Americans. And then unfortunately he was assassinated really shortly thereafter. Mm-hmm. And if you go to the King Center in Atlanta, there were three evils he died combating: racism, poverty, and war. And we don't talk enough about the second. So I concluded after years of running a nonprofit that we were going to need to do something much bigger and more dramatic to make things work for families. And Dr. King was right. We should just start giving people money. He was right then. He's even more right now. I have no idea why it's taken now over 50 years since his passing for us to come back to his teachings.
And the pandemic. That's it.
And the pandemic.
You're talking about giving people money, but you're not talking about creating jobs so people can continuously get money. If you give somebody $1,000 right now, once that $1,000 is gone, it's gone. We're not creating opportunities for people to get $1,000 every week.
Did you hear that? He said that, and then the thunderbolt went off. It was like his words, and I was like, ooh.
He's different.
So we need to do a lot of things at the same time. So you're right that the goal should be to have people have jobs and careers and opportunities that they want, and we need to invest in that immediately. But if we give people money, where does the money go? Like if you give someone here in Brownsville money, they're going to spend a lot of it also right here in Brownsville. It's going to go into some of the local businesses, into tutoring, into food, into basic services. One of the goals we have to have is that more of the money stays in the community and then it gets spent over and over again.
What are you going to do to invest? Assure us that you're going to invest into this community. What would be those investments that you say?
So the investment, first of all, I got to start to make certain that we get the education, right?
Okay.
First thing I start is education. The numbers go the following way. Why am I going to start with education? Because it costs us today $26,000 to educate a kid in New York City, one child. You know how much it costs us to put one inmate at Rikers? $446,000 a year, right? So what this is about is investing today in community centers, making certain that anybody who wants a summer job gets a summer job, making sure we got the training to meet people where they are educationally. There's a program out there which you all may or may not have heard about called Pursuit. Pursuit takes people making $15,000 a year, takes them offline for 9 months, trains them to become software engineers. They go back in, starting salary $85,000 to $95,000 a year. I'll invest in programs like that. I'll invest in making certain that for people who want to start small businesses, entrepreneurs, that we put the capital into the community bank so they can do that.
So how do you invest that? Where does that money come from?
We get it out of the city. It's $100 million.
So why hasn't that money been easy to get before, and why hasn't it been funneled into the communities?
I can't tell you why that is. That's why I'm running.
What have you done to try to end gun violence? Because you're saying that you want to do it when you become mayor, but as of right now, what have you done to try to end gun violence?
No, I didn't say I'm going to do it when I become mayor. I've been doing it all the way through. I did, what have you done? Yeah, and that's what I want to explain to you. And I want to be clear. I'm not saying when I become mayor I'm going to do this. Number one, I've been one of the top sponsors with a lot of my cure of violence. Anthony Bebo, Newell will tell you. A.T. Mitchell, funding on the ground, getting resources on the ground to people. Not only that, when I was a state senator, I've sponsored some of the most tough bills around the overproliferation of guns in our community. to stop the flow of guns into our community, because we don't have gun plants in our communities, and the game is to stop the continuous flow into our community. Then I've sat down for the last 2.5 years. I sat down with some of the top gangs in the city to sit down and say, listen, brothers, what do we need to stop this violence? How do we stop all this beef that's going in? I've walked in rooms with some of with Dr. Pryor, some of the top ex-gang members to sit down and say, listen, how do we come with a way to stop this violence that's in our community? Throughout my time as a police officer, I was doing it, as a state senator, and as the bar president. I want to stop the flow of guns in our community. Young soldiers have come to me continuously and sat down and said, listen, I want to turn this gun in and I want to try to get a job. I sit down with them all the time. I started the funding for the group called SNUG, Guns Spelled Backwards. That came from my initiative in the state senate to allocate millions of dollars for programs just like this, right on the ground, given the financial resources that's needed. No one else that's running for mayor has anywhere near the bio that I have.
You know, I believe that a large part of the stuff we're seeing on the streets are due to homelessness and health and mental health issues. I also believe they should never see the inside of a jail cell.
No, I agree with you.
So my issue is, why are we calling police that are trained to deal with crime for an issue that is not criminal? It is health. How would you fix that?
You've got to have mental health professionals engaging with them, not just homeless outreach, but people who are really trained to make a determination whether or not someone could be a danger to themselves or others, to get them the support that they need.
Would this
And
person
also
be there would this person be called when the police department is called? Is what I'm
Yes.
trying. Okay.
Yes, and we also need to get people into housing, because housing heals. Housing makes it so that you are under less stress, but it also means that you can think about your education, you can think about a job. You can't do that if you don't have somewhere that you call home.
That police union, in my opinion, needs to be demolished. If I said the word correctly, it's demolished, right? And then it's not so much about defunding or getting rid of or abolishing the police department. We need good police. But I will say they don't need to be in charge of all of that good policing. So it becomes more of a word of reallocate. Like, I saw you trying to explain what that meant. So I would like to give you the opportunity to explain, where would you cut some of the finances for, and where would you reallocate it to? And then also too, do you think that the NYPD should control and own the 911 dispatch call unit?
Our patrol cars roll 2 police officers deep and sit around all of the city, thousands of police officers. Why? There are cities, big cities, that have 1 police per patrol car, and they don't sit in the patrol car all day. So we actually have to recognize just how many police we already have and what it means to think smartly. But we've already said not hiring, no more hiring for the next 2 years. By the way, we're also going to take it from closing Rikers, and that saves us money on 750 corrections officers, because we're looking at the whole system. So with that money right there, that's $500 million that we're going to spend, on $5,000, what we call family care grants. That is we're going to start with 100,000 families, just $5,000 straight up cash assistance, a grant, for whatever the family needs. We're not going to tell the family what the family needs. It could be for childcare, it could be food, it could be for rent. So that's what part of the money goes to. And the other is to create community care centers. So that's at community centers for child care, but also for elder care or family members with disabilities.
So in terms of you running, what resistance have you received already? In terms of, because what you're saying sounds idealistic. You're speaking our language more than most in some respects.
Right.
But there's going to be a lot of pushback. How do you plan on navigating that?
You know, to that, I'd have to say, they said that we couldn't do it, but you see we did. Not a daddy, but the politician, my kids. How about the water?
You gonna rap?
I look like a squid.
You gonna start rapping to the dudes who's holding?
You got us on the ballot. Now we about to win. Over your head, like some overhead lighting. Giving out hugs and kisses. No, I'm not fighting. I'm spreading love. I don't care if you like it. They see my style, they also they're biting. Diamonds like lightning, plus I'm enlightened. Sounding fake as a script they reciting. What happens next? Suspense is heightened. What me in a cage like kids were biting. I mean good, might get the itis. My name in their mouth like gingivitis. Since our time, you think I'm psychic. Who's like a hero, ain't got a sidekick.
Question, so you don't think that right there is gonna just
you got an album coming out?
You know,
I feel like if I let you speak for me and you do something like that, then I'm gonna most certainly not.
We're gonna lose the crowd.
I won't be taken serious.
No disrespect.
You got the right idea, but when you come off like that, in certain rooms, you're not gonna get hurt.
The NYPD has been proven to be ineffective, but yet you still want to add more police officers to keep the city safe. How does that work if it's proven to be ineffective? Their clearance rate is only 6.3% for all the shootings.
Yeah.
So how does adding more police work instead of doing things like investing into Bevo, who went 100 days without a shooting, but yet you want to add more police?
Oh, I love violence interruption programs and community investment and youth employment and athletics. Like, I love anything that's going to help strengthen a community and make it stronger. But you hit the nail on the head, which is that when there is a shooting in a place like Brooklyn, we're not solving it. And so the question, and I agree with you on this too, it's like when you have these political conversations, it's like, you know, like more cops, less cops. Like, the problem is that the cops we have are not actually solving the shootings and like doing their job to a point where the clearance rate is higher than what you just described.
So what you're saying is you want police reform to change the tactics that they use to solve the crime.
I think it's unconscionable that the vast majority of shootings here in Brooklyn are not actually being solved, and then the person who did the shooting, you know, is still walking around and may do something else terrible. So there are again multiple things we should be doing at once. We need to actually say to the detectives, look, why are you not solving these crimes? If we don't solve these crimes, we're never going to get the shootings down. So do you need like a colleague? Because one of the things that I was told by people who are here in Brooklyn was that, look, you get a detective and they're on a shooting, then 3 days later there's another shooting and they're on that shooting too. And then 3 days later there's another shooting on that shooting too, and then they never solve the first one. And that's how you wind up with a really terrible clearance rate. So the obvious thing...
Your focus should turn from raising the clearance rate to not having shootings at all.
If I need a hip replacement, am I going to a mechanic?
No.
No. I'm not. It's not.
I'm not going to the electrician.
Not only that, the mechanic does not want me asking him for the hip replacement.
No.
So a police officer does not sign up for the police force to be told to go be a mental health crisis responder.
Or to deal with all these quality of life issues like my son smoking weed in the hallway, or your daughter dancing too loud to Beyonce song.
Exactly.
We can fix it ourselves.
So this is building up. So I call this about smart balancing, right? And so we want to build up community.
When the words are going to come out in the context, the way I heard it at the debate, it reminds me of traditional ways of dealing with us and our youth in the community. Do you think that putting more police on our streets is the way to deal with the violence that's in our community right now?
When I use the term, we want laws followed in our community, and we don't want disorder. We don't want disorder. And to have a black man say that knows how to do it right, that knows how to say, listen, we don't need an over-proliferation of cops. People commit crimes because the real crimes are happening in the lack of resources that's getting from the city. You know, listen, I went through, if you watch the debate, I also shared on the debate, I went through my entire public school experience trying to figure out being bullied because I could never learn. And everybody, I didn't know what was wrong with me, going to bed at night crying, like, why am I so dumb? Teachers calling me lazy. You can't get it. I stumbled onto my learning disability when I got in college.
That's still going on to this day.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So when you look at Rikers Island, 30% of the inmates are dyslexic, 55% have a learning disability, 80% don't have a high school diploma equivalency. The real crime is not the stick up. The crime is what happened in our Department of Education. With 65%, listen, 65% of black and brown children never reach proficiency in the city. No other ethnic group would allow that to happen. And that's our largest budget.
So what this is about is getting capital, making certain that you all know the capital is available and know how to get it. That's number one. Capital consists of the following three things. I got to give you grants, I got to give you low interest loans, and I got to give you equity. That's what the capital stack looks like. And then if you got an idea, I got to give you mentors. I got to give you people who can sit in a room with you and say, listen, you got a business plan, and this is the business plan that we want to follow. I got to help you write that business plan. And then I got to have a place for you to convene. And so when I do that, I get you the capital, which we have not had access to, and I get you the place to get a business plan together and show you how to do that, and you got a business plan, then we take you out to talk to the investors.
I heard somewhere that somebody was talking some nonsense that we couldn't do it, that we couldn't come together as a people in peace. I heard a sister up there tell me that she don't know when the last time it was, she's been here, the last block party that was on this block was over 10 years ago. 2008, to be specific. We breaking laws today. We changing the narrative today.
Yes, we are.
It's about us. It's about community. We bigger than violence. We artists. We are mothers. We fathers. We brothers. We sisters. We family. This is a community. Good, bad, and ugly. You got good and bad in every community. Don't make our community out to only be the bad. See, we broke that, we changed that narrative today. We on out here. It's about love.
I'm looking at these young guys and I'm proud of them. And I want y'all to know that I kept on coming through here. I kept on coming through here for a reason. Number one, because y'all was my son's friend, and I know what type of dude he was, but I had an obligation to my borough president because I sit on the board. So I had to be a credible messenger to come tell him the things that I was hearing in the streets. Now, I need y'all to make this and understand this. When you don't have a point man in your system, sometimes messages get lost in the sauce. He don't have to hear from me all the time. He have a staff where any of us can say, we got a problem here, I want you to come. When them helicopters was in the air, I'm about to say something. I said that shit can't happen. When that officer that didn't care about my community, he had to go. And y'all know he gone. And y'all know since that time, it's been better policing in our neighborhoods. Now, he can stop all the gun trade he wants. But if you put a gun in my hand and I shoot that man, it ain't on him. Because he tried to stop that gun. What the hell are we going to do to stop shooting each other? And that's what a credible messenger needs to say. And I will never let y'all down because he never let me down. Now this ain't no campaign slogan. I'm talking about 40 years of a man that I worked with in the community. When I was a guardian angel. When they was killing kids in Atlanta and I came back and made sure that y'all was safe. I did it because they allowed me in the room. Look at me. Why I'm sitting at a table with somebody like them. We wasn't given that opportunity. Do not waste this opportunity today. You sitting at the table, the door is open, and don't be bamboozled like we talking about.